Welcome back. Chechen rebels are vowing to continue their fight for independence from Russia despite the death of their leader in a bloody shootout. Aslan Maskadov was killed during an operation by Russian security forces in a village north of the Chechen region's capital, Grozny. Officials say he'd been hiding out in a hole in the ground and was shot by his own bodyguard. Russia has consistently blamed Maskadov for masterminding a series of deadly attacks on civilian targets, including last year's Beslan school siege.
For days, we've seen thousands protesting in the Lebanese capital against Syria's influence in the country and the presence of its troops. Well, today there was an even bigger rally, but in support of Syria. It was called by Hezbollah, but the crowd came from all sides.
In the streets of Beirut today, a sea of pro-Syrian supporters, at least 500,000, mostly Shiite Lebanese, dwarfing even the largest of the pro-democracy rallies in the past 3 weeks. This was their day, as they rejecting international demands that their ally Syria pull its forces out of Lebanon. And the keynote speaker, none other than Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, leader of Hezbollah, the Party of God, the Lebanese militant group on the U.S. list of terrorist organizations, with a direct threat to Washington. U.S. fleets came in the past and were defeated. Nasrallah warned they will be defeated again. This is the Hezbollah the world remembers, the group that invented the suicide bomber, accused of blowing up the U.S. Marines barracks in Beirut in 1983, killing hundreds of Americans. A disciplined, feared militia that ended Israel's 18-year occupation here. But this is no typical Hezbollah military parade. Today, they've come out en masse as a major Lebanese political force, saying no to what they call U.S. intervention here, and yes to Syria's interests. Since Israel pulled out of Lebanon 5 years ago, Hezbollah has redefined itself, building schools, hospitals, its own TV station, gaining respect among Lebanese. It now has 12 members of parliament. Mohammed Rad is one of them. He calls the U.S.-backed pro-democracy drive an illusion. If you think most Arabs believe America is going to spread democracy, he says, you are wrong. But analysts say Hezbollah's most important message today was to the Lebanese.
That Hezbollah is still there, and that, we constitute a significant part of the Lebanese population.
Able to move masses and rally against Western-style democratic change.
The younger brother of the boy at the center of the Michael Jackson sex abuse trial has told a U.S. court that he saw the pop star molesting his brother twice. Star Avizo said Michael Jackson plied him and his brother with wine, exposed them to porn, and once walked around naked.
How must he have slept? Leaving Neverland this morning to confront another day of lurid evidence. The prosecution has moved swiftly to the heart of its case against Michael Jackson, and the details are not only graphic, but deeply disturbing. Star Arvizo, the 14-year-old brother of Michael Jackson's accuser, has made a string of allegations, testimony which has been straightforward and highly detailed.
He says that in his view, Jackson gave him alcohol. He identified wine. He identified locations where they drank wine. He identified watching pornography or watching internet sex. He identified looking at magazines.
Crucially, the court heard for the first time allegations of sexual abuse. Star Arvizo told the jury that whilst the family was at Neverland, he saw the singer grope his brother Gavin, whilst Gavin was sleeping on Michael Jackson's bed. Star told the court, "I saw directly onto the bed. I saw my brother was outside the covers. I saw Michael Jackson's left hand in my brother's underwear, and I saw his right hand in his underwear." It's that specific allegation which Michael Jackson's lawyer, Thomas Mesereau, now has to confront. In the last hour, he told the court that Star Arvizo had given different accounts of the alleged incident every time he described it. Who the jury believes will ultimately depend on how this young witness and his brother fare under cross-examination. And on that may rest Michael Jackson's fate.
And under cross-examination, Star Avizo admitted he'd lied under oath in a separate lawsuit.
On to sport now. The New Zealand women's golf team has beaten Australia for the first time in a decade. This afternoon it was the oldest and the youngest players who won the crucial matches.
3 cheers for Australia and from some winning New Zealanders. The national women's golf team victorious in the Tasman Cup for just the 7th time in 72 years. Needing at least a win and a half from the afternoon's 4 singles matches, New Zealand's youngest player led the way. 14-year-old Sharon Ahn was never in danger of losing to Australian Bree Turnbull. This birdie putt on the 13th put her 4 up with 5 to play, and she finished it with a solid par on the 16th for a 3-2 win. But with Jenny Park and Sarah Nicholson losing, the onus was on the team's senior player, 21-year-old Penny Newbrook, to secure at least half a point. One down on the 16th, this birdie brought it back to all square. On the 18th, her opponent, Emma Bennett, 4-putted. Newbrook the winner, New Zealand Tasman Cup victors for the first time since 1995.
Well, I knew Sharon was well up, and I just thought to myself, you know, I knew I could do it, and I was just really focused and, yeah, played well the last few holes. Really proud.
Peter Williams, One News.
There's been mixed fortunes for English teams involved in the Champions League action. While Manchester United lost 1-0 away to AC Milan to crash out of the competition 2-0 on aggregate, Chelsea eliminated Spanish giants Barcelona after a thrilling 4-2 win at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea had raced to a 3-0 lead inside the first 20 minutes before the visitors pulled 2 goals back through their Brazilian superstar Ronaldinho. The second levelling the tie at 4-4, but with Barcelona set to advance to the quarterfinals on the away goals rule. However, 14 minutes from time, Chelsea skipper John Terry headed home from a corner to clinch a 5-4 aggregate victory and a place in the last 8 for the English Premier League leaders. New Zealand captain Stephen Fleming will open the batting in the first cricket test against Australia starting in Christchurch tomorrow. Fleming has opened in a test just 6 times in his 13-year international career, but while he scored a century as an opener in the 3rd test in England last year, Fleming admits his recent form against Australia is a concern.
If I fudged an answer saying no, it's been going okay, lying through my teeth. So yeah, I want to perform. I think when the team needs it most, the captain should stand up.
Fleming will open with newcomer Craig Cumming.
Just ahead, we look at the weather and what will be in your paper in the morning.
And Hugh Sunday goes behind the scenes of an award-winning play that was performed for Prince Charles tonight.